Okay, I think that's working. I'm going to sit down for this. Fucking waffle inbound. Strap yourselves in. So, put that somewhere out of the way. We're back on this GSXR750. Now it's been, I don't know for you, it's probably been a couple of weeks. For me it's been longer than that. Because, actually let me first say, if you haven't seen part 1, just watch that first. I'll link somewhere. Little poppy out thing. Go and watch, or is it that side? Can never remember, that side. Little poppy out thing. Go watch part 1, because all the stuff I'm about to refer to isn't going to make any sense at all. You're just wasting your time watching this video, basically. So we left it, didn't we, with me basically making a massive mistake by not replicating the fault. And I think that's still gonna come back to bite me in the arse. That's my thinking at this point. Anyway, so what's happened since we were last here? Nothing's physically happened to the bike. When that video went out, when part 1 went out, the guy by the name of Simon, who is the mate of the owner of this bike, very, very kindly, thank you Simon, rang me to say, let me fill you in, let me help fill in some of the gaps, if you like. So Simon, not a professional mechanic by any stretch of the imagination, but just wanted to, you know, he's got a bit of knowledge and he wanted to try and help his mate out because his mate had his fucking hat nailed on, £1,000 ECU, etc. We've already discussed that. What did Simon tell me that I didn't already know? He told me that it would only do it, this misfire, when it got over 85 degrees. When the owner rode it in the really cold weather, the problem did not manifest itself. It was only when it got above 85 degrees, and that seemed to be the tipping point to make it go wrong. So that might be an interesting clue. Don't know quite where that fits in the diagnostic jigsaw at this point, but we'll see at the end when it's fixed, if it's fixed, if that's a clue or not. He also told me that the reason it had the secondary butterfly eliminator thing on it is when he was pushing the throttle bodies on after changing the, what was he doing? I can't remember. They'd had the throttle bodies off to do something. He thought he might have oiked the servo motor a bit, and he was a little bit worried because the servo was making some weird chattery noises and he didn't know whether it was the gears slipping. That's how I interpreted what he said. So I was like, oh fuck, really? I need a servo motor then, do I? Because you probably won't know, but you can't just buy the servo motor. You've got to buy the whole fucking throttle body assembly. Anyway, some really nice fucking person, Ryan, oh God, Ryan, what's your name? What's your second name? Oh, Ryan, oh something or other. Stand by, Ryan. I got to shout you out because you're a fucking legend. Ryan O'Driscoll got in touch with me. He said, I've got a, is it 2009? I think it was, 750 throttle bodies, the whole fucking lot. You can have the TPS, you can have the servo, don't want any money for it, just want to help. How fucking cool is that? Because I was thinking, oh shit the bed, where am I going to get a bloody servo from if it has got servo problems? Anyway, and I still haven't sent you the money for the postage, mate. So just send me your PayPal details and I'll send you the postage money at least. I said I'd do that. Didn't need the TPS from him because at that point I'd already ordered the genuine Suzuki one, which is here. So I've got the servo motor from him. I don't know whether I'm going to need it or not, but at least I've got one if needed. So, fucking hell, that was a waffle, wasn't it? So the plan is, I think, oh, the other thing I wanted to mention is people were, multiple people were saying, Jim, it's not charging because the data PIDs in the diagnostic machine, it showed 12.2 volts, was it something? Yeah, it's not going to charge, guys, because remember I took the airbox off and said, yeah, the regulator rectifier is inside the airbox. It ain't going to charge with the regulator rectifier not connected. I mean, it might not charge with it connected, but we might find out later. Hopefully it does charge and that isn't a problem, but that's the reason why it was saying 12.2 volts when it was running, because it wasn't charging because it didn't have the reg-rec connected. And the other thing, I promise I'll get to spannering in a minute. The other thing somebody said, which I thought was a fucking genius idea, and I don't know whether it's the information is there, but you know, we talked about this having the new ECU from the dealer in part 1. Somebody said, why don't you look at the ECU information in the diagnostic machine? It might have a manufactured date, or there might be some information there that will tell you whether it is actually new or not, because if you remember from part 1, I was shining my torch down there looking, and it didn't really look disturbed. I'm not saying it hasn't had a new ECU, but it didn't look like it to me. So we'll do that as well. Right, fucking that's the end of the waffle. Let's put the new TPS on and see if we can get that to set properly, which we couldn't do in part 1. What I also want to do is, you know, I had this on the end of the servo motor and I was moving it and moving the butterfly. I want to take the servo off, it's only 2 screws, and just see how loose this is on the shaft compared to the new one. I was thinking about that. I'm going to do that first, just a quick, for my own curiosity. Let's get the TPS on. Let's get it all back together. There's some setup for the fast idle as well. I'd have to look in the workshop manual because I can't remember how to do it, but you measure the voltage output of this sensor and then the other sensor on the other throttle body, and then you work out the delta between the two. I can't remember, I need to look in the workshop manual, but I want to make sure that fast idle is all set correctly as well. I don't know whether I'm going to go with the servo that's on it or go with this one. I should probably go with this because I know it's a good one, right? And then hopefully we'll be at a point where there's no engine check light, it's all working exactly as it should be, and then we're effectively fucking starting back at the beginning. We're going to road test it, which I should have done in the beginning, and hopefully it'll go wrong. If it doesn't go wrong, then it means it was this TPS all along, but that's not a fucking good position to be in because I never got to replicate the fault in the first place. Fucking hell. Stop talking and do work. Right. Let's do work. Let's fix it. Just took a bit of rag down there. I want to get this servo off, and I just want to, this is purely for my own curiosity, I want the servo out of the way so I can put the TPS on the end of that shaft and compare it, the new one to the old one, just to see how sort of wobbly it is. Just make sure we don't mix these servos up. That would get confusing, wouldn't it? Okay. Can you see from there? You're not going to be able to see, are you? Let me bring you around this side. Yeah, all I wanted the servo out of the way, so take that off there. So I could get to this shaft here. No gloves. I'm still working my way through those baggy fucking bastard touch and toughs that I went and bought, those massive ones. I can't bring myself to buy the right size until I've got through them, but every time I do anything I put a new pair on, so I'm working my way through them. Right, where's the old TPS? Why I didn't do this before, I don't know. I just wanted to get a sense of how loose it was on the... Oh, fucking hell, okay. Fucking hell, guys. It's... Oh, hang on. Oh, that feels horrible. What's happening? It feels like it's actually, in terms of it being locked in, but it doesn't have a... This TPS doesn't have a hard stop. Like, it should only do 90 degrees of movement, I think. But it all... Right, hang on, let's get the new one. Sorry, is this like watching fucking paint dry? I just wanted to, it's blue in there, not black in the hole. So that would be shut, that would be open, that way round. Oh yeah, that's fucking right, okay. You see what I mean? That's got 90 degrees of movement and there's a hard stop. And that's a hard stop that way. And this one, the old one, although, because I was concerned about the bit inside, wasn't I, and it not fitting on the shaft, it does appear to lock onto the shaft quite well, but something's gone on inside it, whether it's been forced, maybe. That might be why Simon thought the servo motor was fucked and the throttle body was doing weird things. Anyway, fucking hell, right, I'm going to get the servo on, the new one. Let's get the new TPS on and I'll bring you back in. Let's plug the diagnostic machine in. Let's get a multimeter. Let's put my little jumper wire in. Let's start doing some measuring. Did I say? Apparently this has only done 10,000 miles, this servo. It's quite a low mileage bike. And yes, although, because when he initially offered me the servo, I was like, oh god, I don't know whether that's going to fit or not, because I know it's the K6, K7 were the same, but they changed a bit, didn't they? I looked at the part number for the throttle bodies, and the throttle body part number is different from 0607 are the same, and then 0809 are different, and I thought, oh god, maybe the servo isn't the right one, but they look absolutely identical. Okay, right, where's my screw? Oh, it didn't come with a screw, I'll have to get the one out of this one. Tamper-proof Torx bit. Put you in there finger tight for now. Right, let's get my meter hooked up. We need my... where is it? This little noggin. We breakout wiring. Right, let's see if this will set up properly this time. I'm off to an amazing start. I've only gone and put the old fucking sensor back on. I was like, what is wrong with this thing? In my defence, I haven't had a lot of fucking sleep in the last few days. I've been insanely busy. I'm really trying hard to get everything done so I can have a fucking few weeks off in December, so I can start on all the other jobs I've got to do around the house. But it's not looking promising, to be honest. I've a little bit of spray on there. Yeah, it's not looking promising. I'm definitely going to be done for Christmas, so if you've got anything booked in with me at the moment, it's either here or it's coming, you will fucking definitely have it for Christmas. If I have to work fucking 24 hours a day, tight enough so there's a bit of resistance. Right, can you see that meter? No, can you? Fuck. Go there like that. Plug that in. Okay, now then. Well, that's better. The voltage is going down as we shut the throttle, which it wasn't before, was it? So fully shut. What was the setting? Close the secondary throttle valve by finger and measure the STP sensor output voltage, 0.57 to 0.67. Okay then. So we'll move, oh fucking hell. Can you even see? Let me zoom you in a bit. 0.57 to 0.67. Right, it's all very well getting it so it looks okay, but you've got to do the screw up yet, Jim, and it's definitely going to move. Right, I need a, oh fucking hell, that meter, I need a tamper-proof Torx for there, don't I? There we go. .61. Oh, and the fucking battery went flat on the meter. Right on schedule. I'm having that as a win. Okay, so let's connect the servo back up. Let's connect the diagnostic machine. Put my meter battery on charge. Guys, any recommendations? Right, we were discussing this in the Discord the other night. So my hierarchy of like test instruments, I've got my OTC test light, you know, me fucking old school test light. It's amazing how much you can get done with the test light if you understand, you know, that it pulls 200 milliamps and you can, you know what I mean, it's an incandescent bulb in it, you can do a lot with that. So I've got that, then I've got this fucking Vantage Pro, and then the Pico scope. I feel like I need something to go in between my test light and this fucking great big hunk of junk. Not junk, but it's fucking pretty long in the tooth now, you know, getting a big chunk like that out. And I don't think the answer is just a normal little multimeter. Been looking at power probes or similar. Anybody got any recommendations? I feel like I need a new tool in my life. I'm not going to connect the diagnostic Texas thing up yet. I want to deal with the setting of the fast idle NUS and the other TPS. So in case you didn't know, I think you already know, but there's two TPSs. There's this one on the servo here, and then there's this one down here. So there's one on each of the sets, one for each set of butterflies. The one lower down here, that one, that's the one that is for the actual throttle. Now then, if you read, I've just been reminding myself, because it's got to be, it's well over 10 years since I did one of these, reading the workshop manual, and my memory's not quite as bad as I thought it was, because I did remember a few hacks for this. If you read the workshop manual, Suzuki want you to get the engine up to operating temperature before you do the adjustment on that lower TPS. In this scenario, I'd have to put it all back together to run it, to get it up to temperature, to take it apart again, to do the adjustment. Let me go around the other side and I'll explain. So what Suzuki want is they want you to get out of the fast idle situation. So this cam, we talked about this in part 1, didn't we? This secondary set of butterflies also moves this here. So when this is wide open, see how this cam pushes on that? And that opens the other set of butterflies down in there. So they want you to be out of the fast idle loop, if you like. So they want the engine hot before you do the adjustment. But the easy way of doing it is you just disconnect this servo up here. Which means that, because normally you see, let me explain, if that was plugged in, okay, and I had the ignition on to do the TPS, and we'll get to what the actual adjustment is at the moment. So see how the servos open these butterflies? Well, this is energized now, they're really hard, they're solid, they won't move. But what you do, because that is in the wrong position to do the TPS adjustment, because the engine's cold, it's holding this cam open, right, is you just disconnect this. Obviously we're going to introduce all sorts of fault codes like that, and disconnect the servo, and that means I can move this back to the position it would be at idle, so it's not affecting the fast idle. So in that position you're interested in, well, Suzuki, fucking how to say this, I've got written down in my workshop manual on the page, I've got in the paper manual I've written down, God knows when, 15 years ago, TPS output voltage should be between 1 and 1.05 volts at idle. Okay, Suzuki don't want you to do it that way. They want you to do a on the dash here. So there's a, let me show you. So on this diagnostic plug here, you can put it in dealer mode. Okay, so normally I would plug in my, which is down here, I'd plug my diagnostic, my Texa TXB into there. But what they want you to do the TPS is, they want you to use the Suzuki service tool that you plug in, which is effectively just a fucking 2 bits of wire on a switch, and they want you to short together the red and white and the black and white. That's my Suzuki service tool. Stand by and I'll put it in. So I put that in there like that, short those 2 wires together, and then you turn the ignition on, and you get, let me get you to focus down in there, so you can see that C28, that's one of the codes. See that little line there? That is, so it can either be down there, I'll flash the workshop manual on the screen, in the centre or at the top. So that's your adjustable. That's how Suzuki want you to adjust it. I've got written down, and this isn't in the service manual, but I've got written down in my notes for one of these bikes, because I like to keep bikes I work on. This fucking, I must have written this down 15 years ago. Bikes I work on, and I find interesting bits of information. I just have a little file and I keep notes in. I've got written down that the output of the TPS, so the TPS for the throttle that you do your twisting on, that lower TPS should be between 1 volt and 0 and 1.05 volts. Let's get the multimeter hooked up and see what the actual voltage coming out of that sensor is. Yeah, so that is the sensor voltage. Did I show you already? But I did, didn't I? But there's 2 sensors. This one down here, that grey one. Yeah, I said that already. So I'm going to, give me a second, I'm going to loosen the screw on that lower sensor, and then we can have an adjustment. I've got the screw loose down there, and I'm moving the TPS around. So that's 1.03. See that line? Can I get it to focus better? That line is in the center. If I go higher with the voltage, see how that line's moved up? Am I making sense? So let me, without looking at the multimeter, let me bring that down to the center. Oh, it's gone too low. Go up a bit. There it is. 1.05. Let me lock that out there, so that's in position, and then we'll get on with the other fuckery. Right, Jim, try not to murder this subject. So, oh, and by the way, I've talked about this before, I've got my battery tender hooked up to it, flash a picture of it on the screen. Always got to have any sort of diagnostic work, I've banged on about it loads, but you've got to have stable battery voltage, and the battery was getting a little bit out of juice, so it's holding the battery at 13 volts now, so we've got steady voltage. Turn the ignition on, okay, 0.12, that is the voltage coming out of, you know, the connector I've got back probed on the TPS on the other side. Now then, what you need to do is, I've got the servo motor disconnected, so I can physically move this, okay? Now, let me try and get you a better camera angle. So what we're trying to establish is this voltage, okay? We want, the workshop manual wants you to have a 0.03 of a volt difference between this being fully open, which is the fast idle, and fully closed. See how this is moving, this cam? So that cam is supposed to be operating not this set of butterflies, but that set of butterflies down in there. When this goes to this position, this little arm is supposed to open those butterflies slightly, and that voltage would change. Okay, it should go up by 0.3 of a volt, and if I move it and get it in shot at the same time, it ain't doing fuck all. So that's been messed with. Now the mechanism, let me shift this down onto the ground and try and get this in shot. In fact, let me, oh actually that's not a bad shot of it. See this little nut here and this spring? That's the adjuster, and there's a little peg I'll put an arrow on the screen that screw adjusts, and that's this. See how that little shiny peg there opens up that butterfly? But when I open this butterfly like this, it's having no effect on the other butterfly, look. So that's been messed with, and in fact, when they come from the factory, they have a load of paint over them. I think it's white paint. Looks like it probably was once white paint on there to sort of hold it in position. You're not supposed to fuck with that. So I need to do some adjustment. So when we move this, we get 0.3 voltage difference. Am I making sense? Right, let me try and get that done and I'll bring you back in. Oh my days, that is so fiddly to get correct. So, butterfly shut. So that means the set of butterflies that you have control over are in the idle position, 0.13, which is I think what we set it to before. And then as I open this butterfly and the fast idle takes over, 0.16, flashing 0.17. That's as close as I can get it. So there's 0.3 of a difference there. That's that set. So that reading, the difference between those two, that 0.13 is indicating how much movement is in the main set of butterflies. Comprende? So that hinges on you having the idle speed set correctly. You know, the actual idle stop, the main idle stop for when it's idling, not on fast idle. If I was to move that screw now, this reading would change. Do you understand what I mean? So technically you should do it the way that Suzuki say to do it. Get the bike hot, adjust your idle first, then take it all apart, etc. I've had success doing it this way over the years. I'm not sure there was even any interesting information or useful information in there, but anyway, that's set now. I'm going to put the throttle bodies back on because they're not attached. I'm going to put the airbox back on. It's in the 3D printer at the moment. I've 3D printed a little TPU rubber bung to go around those wires for the regulator rectifier. I think I'll just get the throttle bodies on, rest the airbox in position with the reg rec plugged in. Let's see if we get fault codes. Let's see if it's charging. Fingers crossed there are no fault codes and it appears to run okay on the bench. And then we're literally kind of back to square one then, aren't we? Let's bolt it all together properly, go and have a ride and see if we can get it to do its misfiriness. Right, let me get this back together and I'll bring you in when I've got the Texer hooked up to it and we can see what codes are there. There'll be a fucking million codes. I've had injectors unplugged, I've had all sorts going on. There'll be a sea of codes. It's whether they'll all be in memory, right? They'll all be orange. It's whether the engine check light comes on and whether we have any red codes, active live codes in the Texer. Right, stop talking and do work. And another thing, turn the ignition on. See how we've got 1.03. I was just watching that footage back and it was 1.02, wasn't it? You've literally, the weight of the fucking screwdriver on the adjuster, okay, is gonna make that flash zero. What I'm trying to say is, don't massively sweat these numbers if you're doing one yourself, because honestly the wind changes direction and it will, yeah, you're in the ballpark, right? And that's where you need to be. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is, I've seen, if you've got one of these or a Suzuki from a similar era with two sets of butterflies like this and you've got fast idle problems, see this roller here and this camshaft and this little cam piece that it runs on here, they can wear out. Okay, they get quite worn because there's no lubrication on them. That's not a bearing, that just rotates on its shaft. They can get wear in them and you can lose your fast idle, or your fast idle is not what it once was. So that would be the procedure. You just need to redo that adjustment to account for the wear and you'll get your fast idle back. Helpful? Maybe. So yeah, see that's flashing 0.6. If I slam that shut, it might go to 0.02. Anyway, let me get this back together. Throttle bodies are down, clips are done up. I've got all the wiring plugged back in, injectors, servos plugged back in. There, I need to find a clip for that, don't I? That was missing when it came apart. That's the air temperature sensor to go in the, you know, into the airbox. Those relays clip on the airbox, don't they, up on the front there. And then I've got the reg rec connectors there and there. So I'm just going to rest the airbox on and run it. Let me show you my plan for the blocking up the hole on the airbox for the, you know, for the reg rec wiring. So this is my solution to block this hole up. TPU for Bamboo Labs AMS. So the TPU that will work in an AMS won't mean anything to most of you, but those of you that know. It's pretty stiff, but it's got some flex in it. I've just got a little bit of VHB tape around there, and the idea is, if I've measured correctly, let's just get a little bit of brake cleaner and clean where it's going to stick. It should fit around those wires. Let's be smart about this and start the VHB tape before we is it going to work? Twist that on there. Yes. Okay. Oh my god, it's like I fucking bought one. Let's pull that off there. Sometimes I fucking even surprise myself. That is fucking awesome. Right, let's rest that on, connect this up. Hopefully it runs, no fault codes, charges perfectly, and then we can go ride it. Although the weather is not looking great, and it's even forecasting snow possibly, so I better fucking hurry up and ride it. Right, to the bike. The airbox is all on, everything's connected up. Turn on ignition. Let's see if it charges, and let's see if it's got any fault codes. Okay, well there. In fact, I was expecting more than that, to be fair. Let's bin them off. Whatever. I'm not turning you off, just get on with it. Okay. Now then, we wanted to look at ECU info, didn't we, to see if there was any... No, that's all there is, just a part number. We were wondering, weren't we, whether there was going to be a date of manufacture or some more information other than that. But there isn't. Faults. Right, let's open the workshop door and start it up. We're looking for a fast idle as well, if we get one. In fact, let me bring up data PIDs on the... so you can see RPM. And well, I've got RPM and battery voltage in the middle of the screen there. That's perfect. Contact, oh, not quite. Pull the clutch in. Well, we've got a fast idle, boys. And it's not fucking charging, is it? Okay. Interesting. Looks like it's half successful. What's the idle going to come down to? Let me stand over here so you can hear me. So it's got a fast idle. And it's got... oh, it's lost communication. Why has it done that? Right, I've got no fault codes. on, let me turn it off a second. Can you... I don't even know if I'm in fucking shot here. I must be. I don't know. Fuck's sake, where's the camera pointing? Okay. I'll fucking sit on my stool here. So, can you see me? No fault codes. Fucking marvellous, but it's not charging. So we need to address that before we can road test it. When I spoke to the guy Simon, he did tell me that they were worried about the charging system and they put another generator on it. And I think he said it was a cheap eBay fucking thing. So let's check the output, the 3 yellow wires going into the generator. Let's start there, I think. See if the generator's doing what it should be doing. But I'm glad there's no fault codes. That is fucking progress. Okay, it is several hours later. Can you see me if I sit here? Maybe I just yeah, I got my arse out with this a little bit because it wasn't charging and I went and did something else. I needed to go out in the van and do a job, so I did that. It's now like 9 o'clock at night, so it's after hours Superbike surgery now, and I thought I want to know what's fucking wrong with this before I go to sleep. So I've had my tea and here we are. So I've got the airbox up out of the way. I've got everything electrically still plugged in. The reg rec is still plugged in. The temperature sensor in the airbox is still plugged in. First things third. So it's got... Did I mention? I don't know whether I did. Have I mentioned this before? In the cut in the part before this one. Simon, the guy that was working on it, they did have some question marks over the charging system, so they fitted. Did I say this already? Another generator. But looking at the connection block on it, it's fairly fucking cheap and nasty. I think he did say it was an eBay special. So the first place I'm going is I'm going to check the output of that generator because I know it's been apart. He didn't say whether the old one was fucked or not. Oh, jeez. I'm waffling, aren't I? I'm tired. I'm fucking tired. Just, you're going to have to bear with me. Anyway, I'm going after the generator first. I think given the history and they've had it off and stuff, and it's a cheap one, we're going to do that first. So, can you see that from there? Let's go to... Come on, wake up. Let's go to volts. Oh my fucking god! Well, it had to fucking happen, didn't it? Right, volts AC. I'll put in the, if I haven't already said, I'll put in the top right hand corner of this video the pop out for one of my charging system videos that goes into this in more detail. So there's 3 phases coming out of this generator, right? I'm going to put my 2 probes. There's 3 wires. I'm not getting into it here. I'm just not. I've made loads of videos about this. If you want to know more about it, go and watch one of those. So there's 3 phases. I'm going to test the 3 phases. Let's just say that. Let's disconnect the regulator rectifier from it. Oh. So that connector, let me bring you up here. This connector in here for the generator is fucking really slack in that. That's the wire going to the reg rec in the airbox. Oh, now my fucking phone's ringing. Jesus Christ. It's no wonder I can't get any fucking work done. I better just check actually, because it might be somebody I know at this time of night. No, that's not a number I recognise. You can fuck right off. Yeah, this plug, can I do it one-handed? it just feels... Hang on a minute, I'm going to have to hold you at a funny angle. It literally just fucking falls in there. Help if I got out the light of it, wouldn't it? It's just really loose. I wonder if that's the problem. Anyway, let's start with the generator measurement. So I'll measure these two, and these two. Like there's three. I'm not getting into it now. You can see from there, I'm assuming, that voltmeter. Let me start it up. Oh my fucking days. Took the battery optimizer off, didn't I? Right, hopefully you can hear me over the row of this fucking engine. Oh Jesus, I keep knocking the kill switch with my fucking hand. Right, this is phase number 1. What are we getting? Fucking perfect. 36 volts. Next phase. Same. Other phase. Same. Okay. Well, that's top news. Right, let's plug the reg rec in and I'll show you some other tests. Measurements. So I've got that generator wire plugged back in. I'm gonna actually God, it just feels so fucking slack. What have I got to hand here? Oh, I should use this long screwdriver, give them a tweaky. Yeah, they do feel like they are made of Chinesium. Okay. Is that any better? Yeah, slightly tighter. Might need to do something about that though, if that is the cause of the problem. Right, let me move you down here so you can see that. Right, so the regulator rectifier is all connected. I'm going to test those 3 phases again. Meters on AC volts. I like how that fast idle's behaving itself properly. Right, what we got? Oh, 7.2, that's no good. You'd expect to see about 15 volts, something like that, normally. What's that one? 11.7, oh fucking hell, okay. And this one? Another 7 point something. That's a bit weird. Quite like to look at the sine wave. Should I do it on there? I mean, this meter is more than capable, but if I got the pico set up, you'd be able to see it properly. Fuck it, let's do that. In for a penny, in for a pound. Got the pico set up, just one of the channels. What we're gonna need, I've got a screen recorder going so I can show you what's occurring. I've got the right probe selected. What we're going to need, 50 volts per division, I think. And what about time base? 5 milliseconds, let's try that. In the ballpark. Let's get some spiky back probe bits and see what we get on the screen. So we're going with, it checked out okay, unloaded, or not unloaded, but not connected to the regulator rectifier. So let's see, I want to see the sine waves when it's connected to the reg rec. Okay, Well, what the fuck is going on there then? Let's move that trigger a bit. Change my time very slightly. So, oh hang on, I think I've lost me. What did I do? Oh, I see what I did. Okay, let me turn it off and I'll explain why that's fucking weird. So, stop it, go in the buffer. Any of them, it doesn't really matter. So, this is 0 volts here, right? These spikes, I'm missing half of the sine wave. Let's try a different phase. That's fucking really weird. Well, that looks better. Let's capture a couple of pages of that. Knock that off. Stop it. Stop the scope. Yeah, so this is more like what you would expect. So can I, yeah, let's zoom in there a bit. So these, you see, you've got a positive and a negative bit of the sine wave. I know, I don't want to get into this here, but these are getting clipped. The top of this sine wave, and it doesn't really look like a sine wave anymore, is getting clipped because you've got the voltage regulation part of the regulator rectifier coming into play. I don't want to murder it here. I have talked about it loads in other videos. Let's... I think it's the regulator rectifier that's faulty. Let's look at the 3 phases without the reg rec connected, just as you normally would. They should be, you know, peak to peak, fucking 60 odd volts, and look more like a sine wave than that. Let's do that. Fucking hell. Okay. Let's get rid of that zoom. Oh, I've lost my connection. Wowzers. Okay. We're a little bit out of range here, aren't we? Let's go 100 volts, or maybe 200 volts per division. No, we'll call it 100 volts. And let's do that. Stop the scope. So that one is the phase that was only showing half the sine wave with the reg rec connected. So there's 0. Okay, it's a bit of an odd looking, you know, not a nice smooth sine wave, right? But I've seen this before, especially on aftermarket generators. It's going to take a cleverer man than me to fucking explain why it's not a smooth sine wave. Something to do with a magnet placement maybe on the flywheel. Fuck knows. Don't know. But that's the phase that shows bad with the reg rec connected. So that suggests it's the regulator rectifier. I was just thinking then when I was poking the wires going to the generator. Let me see if I can find it. Fucking hold that thought. You haven't seen one of these before, have you? Dun, dun, dun. The Generator Fuckerator 3000. I've had this a few years. That was just me fucking around with my 3D print, with my laser engraver when I first got it. Yeah, so you'll see there it says 1 ohm, 200 watts. This is just a fucking massive resistor. So what you can do with it, let me move the camera and I'll show you. Well, this is a rabbit hole I didn't think I was going in. So these are my 2 picoscope wires going into that phase of the, what's the name, of the generator. And then what I've done is I've just, because picoscope leads are fucking awesome, you can piggyback in the back of them. So I've got these two wires now with crocodile clips on, and all you do is you load the fucking generator up with this massive resistor. Now, you can tell me in the comments, people that are smarter than me, I often thought, if you're not following along, you'll understand what this is for in a minute. I thought I should probably have 3 of these in star configuration, maybe a slightly lower resistance, like 0.5 of an ohm, but 3 of them, and then connect, or maybe put them in delta configuration. I say star because the generator's wound in star. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it, but all I'm going to do is I'm testing one of the phases, not all 3 at the same time, but it works. I've done this many times. Let me show you what happens. Let's make sure the scope is running so I can capture the waveform. Right, scope is running. We start the engine, he says. Now, watching that waveform and doing this, might get a bit of a spark. Can you hear the engine note change as well? It's labouring. There's definitely nothing wrong with that winding. Just measuring, why am I showing you this? This is a fucking top tip. Just measuring the open voltage coming out of a stator like that is not a test. It's sort of a test. You can do that. You can do a resistance test through the winding. You can see if it leaks to ground. There's no substitute for a fucking big load like this. Let me just show you another good thing about this, which requires not the picoscope. Stand by. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to connect my Vantage Pro back up, my normal multimeter. Now this isn't just 1 ohm by accident, okay? Ohm's law, do I need to explain? 1 amp, 1 volt, 1 ohm, right? You know the... Fucking hell, I'm not getting into it here, okay? Let me just do the test and then it will make sense. No, I don't want to fucking turn you off. Are you on volt? Yeah, volts AC still. Okay, I need to plug in my testy wires into the back of the... Sorry, did I knock you then? Fucking wires, so many wires going on. Right, so same story. I've got this connected to that one single phase, the one of the 3 phases of the generator, and I've got these 2 so I can load it up and we can see what this voltage does. Right, let me start it. Ready? Volts. Let me stop it so you can hear me. Because Ohm's law is Ohm's law, that 12 volts directly correlates into 12 amps. So there's 12 amps of current flow through there. That is a good phase. Let me do all 3 the same way and I'll come back to you and report. So all 3 phases check out identically. It's definitely got a good generator, 100%. So we need a reg rec, don't we? I wonder, I think that's quite a common one. I've got a few decent quality MOSFET ones from Larson in stock. Let me go and have a look. Larson to the rescue. I'm pretty sure the part number says it's right. Oh, that's fucking handy too, look. We get the connector for the other side. In fact, both sides. Both of the connectors, wiring loom side. So I can replace that Mickey Mouse connector on that generator. Let's plug this in and see. Is Is it the right fucking spacing on the bolts to fit in it? Yeah, it's the same. I'll be fucking amazed if this doesn't fix it, but you never know. The other thing I want to show you too is let's just see if it charges first at the battery. So I'm just going to go straight to battery. Let's move you down here so you can see that. But it's no good on AC, is it? It needs to be on DC. And I need some decent crocodile clips. And I need to take my battery tender off because that's not gonna, it's holding it at 13 volts. I'll get all excited and it still might not be charging. Right, so that, let me turn the ignition on. Let's just come off. Oh, hang on. Helps if you fucking, it doesn't matter, but I've got the leads on the battery the wrong way around. It was on charge, you see, so it'll start coming down. If I turn the lights on, take that surface charge off the top of the battery. Okay, that's ignition off. That's ignition on. Right, cross your fingers. There we go. 13, 9, 14. You fucking beauty. Isn't that weird? They put a generator on it, but it needed a reg-rec. Maybe it needed both, who knows? I just want to check the AC output from the generator with this. I'm sort of interested myself because wafflage. Let me connect the Pico back up to one of those 3 phases. In fact, to the phase that was only showing half the sine wave. Let's see what that looks like with this reg-rec on. I've got my scope connected to the phase that was bad, you know, that was missing half of its sine wave. Let's give this a try. Not getting anything. Must have a bad connection. Helps if you actually run the scope, doesn't it? There we go. Fucking marvellous. Right, let me turn this off. I guess that makes... Ooh, hang on. Let's stop it and go to the buffer. So, it doesn't need explanation, I don't think, does it? So that's the 0 line down the centre. And we've got both halves of what would be the sine wave, but as I think I previously explained, the top's been chopped off by the voltage regulation part of the reg-rec. That's perfect. The only other thing I wanted to quickly look at, which might be interesting, is we only had 7 volts on that phase, didn't we? AC. Let's see. It should have been closer to 15 volts, I would have thought. Let's see what we're getting now. Let's plug the normal multimeter back in. Put this to volts. No, what am I doing? I was on DC. I want to go to AC. Okay. Plug my meter in. Let's see what we get. Oh, I can just piggyback off those Pico scope connectors, can't I? Right, contact. Well, I was expecting a little bit more than that, but it's not 7 volts, is it? Okay. What does that actually look like? Oh, it fucking stopped on its own, guys. What happened? Oh, guess what? We're at 87 degrees. Fuck me. Let's see if it does it again. Remember the 85-degree thing? was just a fluke. Oh! Just fucking like that. Well, fuck me. That must be the fault. Oh, fuck me sideways.